Hey, what is up, guys? Blunt Cuts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I really appreciate it. We got a lot going on this weekend, and I am happy to say Watcher of Realms is back, baby. We've got a lot of stuff going on. The update came through. We've got new heroes being deployed, and the exciting thing about this is just the start. We are going to have new heroes for an extended period of time. I feel like through the end of the year at this point, we're going to have new heroes at pretty regular intervals. We know what a lot of them are at this point because the update took so long to come, but this is just kind of like a little sampling, little thing to wet the palate, and we've got some good heroes here, not the best heroes of the bunch that are yet to be released, in my opinion, but we do have an exclusive coming out. We do have a 2x 15x banner. We do have a probably an underwhelming, probably the least attractive ancient banner that I've seen since like before the anniversary, maybe. I feel like maybe one of the Hars banners or something like that might have been worse, but it's not great. But I'm going to talk you through what I think you should do. I'm coming at this from an endgame perspective, but I will try to just throw out there some advice for anybody who is early to mid-game as well, just in case you are watching this. But I'm typically talking about this from a long-term perspective. So even if you are early game, I think my advice is relevant because if you're trying to build towards the future, you want to be targeting the better heroes, right? And I think that there is certainly value to be kind of thinking about things from an endgame perspective early on as well. So let's start off with the big ticket item. That would be this guy right here, Bushido summoning Kigiri. Awesome looking hero. I love the art in this game, and this guy is no exception. Honestly, I wish I liked the hero more because he looks really cool. He's like half like charred demon horns. He's got this really cool skin too, which I wish that there was a way to get this without forking over probably 25, 30 bucks, but I'm sure there's not going to be. You can see obtained from the Shorn Spirit limited bundle, and I won't be paying for that, but I'm sure, I know some of you love skins and you're going to be going for that, and I don't blame you. This is a cool looking one for sure, but he is, he's a really interesting hero. He's got like it's like an essay, you know, like you have to like read a book to really understand exactly what his kit is, and he's nice. Good hero, but I think he's going to be limited, and that is, and I don't mean limited in availability. I mean limited as far as his usage is concerned. He's got a number of things that are kind of working against him. I'd say the biggest thing is that he is yet another nightmare fighter. Now, he is a Watcher. He has dual faction membership, which is very nice. You could use him with Ingrid if you do have Ingrid, so that is cool. But I think that given that fighters really fit well in the Nightmare faction, I think that is going to be where you want to use him. There's a lot of benefits for fighters specifically that really helps them out if they are in that faction, whether it's Torador or hell, I know that the new Nightmare Lord is something that they've talked about, and I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I mean that might be a power boost for him as well. Maybe some of my concerns will be alleviated with the release of that hero, but let's start off with the thing that I think is the most limiting about him, and that is his attack range right here. He's only got a one-tile attack range, meaning you cannot sit him behind a tank and have him hit the units that are going to be in front of the tank. Now, he does have this sweeping strike ability where he dashes forward and does AoE damage to all the units in the path between him and the furthest enemy out in his range. And the range of this attack is basically, think of like a vortex range. Very big attack range, which is very nice. He's going to do a lot of damage on that. Problem is, he's only going to do it once every 40 seconds or one time when he uses his ultimate. And sometimes he's going to have to stand there for 8 seconds unless he's actually taking damage before he actually does this. So that is not great. Now, he does reduce the cooldown of this by 1 second when he does his basic attack, but if he's not in a position where he can attack anybody, you're not going to get any cooldown reduction on it, meaning that you're just going to be sitting there waiting. It's going to be once every 40 seconds, plus however often you're able to get that ultimate out. I don't love it. I really wish they would stop. Like, 2-tile range should be default for a lot of these fighters at this point in the game, in my opinion. I mentioned this in the breakdown I did of him, which you should check out. Link will be in the description of this video. But I was having a conversation recently with somebody where they were telling me that this 1-tile range is because these units are intended to be boss killers. They're not intended to be sat behind a defender. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it was a great point that was made to me. My problem with that, though, is that it really limits the usage of the heroes. I think it stifles kind of creativity. It creates just a very limited set of heroes that you can use in the other situation when you do want to sit them behind a tank. And I don't love that. I don't love that. But I think, boss fights, I think in arena, single target arena, he's probably going to be pretty solid as well, especially because he does bring in bleed, which is going to buff everybody else at the same time and does true damage and all that jazz. So cool hero. I think you should get him. I do think if you have 250 summons, I think you should get him just by virtue of the fact that he is limited. And I think to kind of frame that, I should also mention that I don't think that the heroes on the other banner, on the 2x15x, are so good that you're going to really be missing out on them if that's all you can do. Now, kind of leads me into my next point of discussion here. We've got this 2x15x banner. Best time to pull, in my opinion, is on a banner like this. I wish the heroes were better on the whole. Now, Lucius is great, but if you have a base copy, it's really all you need, especially after the changes to Guild Boss 2. It's really all that you are going to need to get 120k on there if you do have a developed account and you have the other heroes that aren't necessary to get a score like that. Getting more Awakenings on Lucius is not going to put you in a better spot to do that, in my opinion. The A3 is nice. All the things that he gets after that are very nice, but they're all like supplementary things, and they're not real game changers. So I think as long as you have him A0, you should be good. If you don't have a copy of him, you definitely want to be pulling on this. With that said, he's less important now with the release of Kigiri than he was before, because the one thing I didn't mention about Kigiri is that when he does his sweeping strike, he also removes buffs. So Kigiri is the second hero after Lucius that is going to be able to dispel buffs from a target enemy. And I think that Lucius does it better, personally. That's just my perspective. But if you have one or the other, you're going to be able to take care of the hardening stacks in the Aegis mode of the Guild Boss 2. Razaak, we all know about Razaak. Love him, hate him, he ain't great. Nobody's going to tell you that he's amazing. So, if you don't have him A5, then it's not a bad thing to get more Awakenings, right? Or you could potentially, if you really don't like Razaak, you could save him and cash him in for Awakening coins or something like that and buy soul stones in the shop, that kind of thing. But he's not worth pulling for on his own. The units, the epic units, are not all that great. And that kind of brings me to Xaris here, who also I will have a link to my breakdown of Xaris in the description of this video. Really cool hero. I really like Xaris a lot. I think he's a solid hero. I just don't know that there's that many places that he is going to be useful for an endgame account. I think that the coolest thing about him, honestly, is his 12 cost right here. There are very few mages in the game. I think no mages in the game, if I'm not mistaken, that have cost that low. Most mages are at least 19 costs to deploy. Some of them, like Anora, for example, are as high as 22. So really cool hero. He's a summoner. He's going to work, speaking of Anora, he's going to work with that Anora summoner kind of bonus that she provides, 10% extra damage to summons. So that is going to be cool as well. If you did pick up Anora on the exclusive a couple of months ago, then he is going to fit real well with that summoner team that the developers seem to want us to build towards. He's also Cursed Cult, so he's going to fit that way as well. So really cool hero. I have been using him. I think as far as usage is concerned, the one place that he is going to be very useful, even towards endgame, is going to be in Arena, AoE Arena in particular. I think he could probably fit in maybe some of the other ones as well, but I haven't extensively tested him there. AoE Arena is going to be his home, though, and I do think that he's worth pulling for. Awakening-wise, I just went through this in the video that I just created where I broke him down, but personally, I don't think that Awakenings 3 through 5 are worth it. I think that if you can get him to A2, that's great. That's really all you need. Honestly, he's pretty functional at A0. I don't know that you need any of the Awakenings, but A1 and A2 are going to help him do what he does best already. Extra attack is going to be nice. His base attack is kind of low to begin with, so getting that extra attack does help him out quite a bit. And then on top of that, this A1 summons 2 extra Souls of the Damned when first deployed. Those are 2 extra summons. That's going to really help him out as far as his burst damage, which is kind of his specialty. He is a burst damage specialist, and I think he is worth picking up. So if you are able to pity manipulate at all, or if you decide you don't want Kigiri for whatever reason, then I think it's worth pulling on this and trying to get at least one copy of Xaris. I don't think you need to go further, but if you got summons and you want to spend them on the 2x15x, totally understandable. I think getting him to A2 is nice. And as far as Lucius is concerned, I mean, the more the better. All of his Awakenings are pretty solid, but again, like I was saying, I think he's going to do his job at A0 just fine. Mine is A0, and I've gotten like 175k mech parts on Guild Boss 2. So, granted, I have a very developed account. I've got good heroes, things like that. So, grain of salt and all that. But I just don't think that you really need extra from Lucius, really. But he's a great hero, and it's never a bad thing to make your good heroes more powerful. Other than that, we've got this Ancient banner here, and two good heroes, Twinfiend and Laya, I think are two good heroes. Now, if you are endgame, I wouldn't pull on this, honestly. I think that Ancients are too rare and just too valuable, and because the best heroes in the game are all locked behind the Ancient exclusive banners, I don't think it's worth pulling on this. Certainly not if you're early on in Mercy, late on in Mercy, meaning you're almost going to get your guaranteed Legendary Lord. I think you need to be waiting for one of the Ancient exclusives, probably Praetus, Valderon, Ingrid, Cyrus potentially if you're GVG focused, Eovar if you are like a Codex person, you're really into Codex or Arena potentially. Eovar is quite good. So I think that these are not the two that you want to be popping your Lord Mercy on. With that said, if you are an early game account, these are great heroes. I mean, like Laya and Twinfiend are great heroes to have. And if you don't have a Legendary Lord for those factions, it's not a bad thing to pull on, honestly. I wouldn't recommend it still. I think you're still better off waiting and taking your shot. And then if one of these two heroes does show up randomly when you're pulling on a banner that boosts the rates of one of these other heroes that I'm talking about, I think that's when you say, okay, well, that's all right. I still got a good hero. But I wouldn't specifically pull on these. But if they're burning a hole in your pocket, rest assured these are both valuable heroes. And these are heroes that I don't have Laya, but I do use Twinfiend pretty regularly in a lot of different content still, even though I'm pretty progressed. Infernals are still one of the, if not the best boss scaling faction in the game. So I would say, definitely worthwhile. He is that Guild Boss 2 170k mech part run that I was talking about before. Twinfiend is a key piece of that, and I do love him. I do think he's definitely worth pulling for. Excuse me, contradicting myself. I wouldn't say he's worth pulling for. He's worth using for sure. He's definitely a good hero. I just think that there's probably better that you can get on an Ancient banner, and you could pull a Twinfiend, on the next rare summon that you pull, because he is available both from Divines and from regular Invocation of Spirits. So you don't need to be pulling Ancients to get non-Ancient exclusive Lords, in my opinion. But that is it. I've probably gone on longer than I should have anyway, but I do hope this is helpful to some of you. Please do like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Good luck on your summons. I will catch you all next time.